So it's the week before Thanksgiving, and you guys are just punching the clock until it's time to take a 5-day weekend. I hear you. I'm doing the same thing, just showing up. So we're gonna give you a little bit of a grab bag. We got some random topics on this episode that we're gonna go through, and yeah, we'll kind of just go through them. And the first one, it's depending on when you listen to this. This is gonna be breaking news. Um, we actually just heard about it a couple hours ago. It's big Boston media news. It's a big shakeup. And Rick, I know you're a big sports talk radio fan like I am, so this was something that we were kind of anticipating for a while. But WEEI's Kirk Minihane, he's been off the air for a few weeks, and finally it was just announced that he's going to be moving to Radio.com, and that's a huge move. That's a huge shakeup for one of the biggest shows in town, one of the two biggest shows in town, and now they have their namesake Kirk going over to streaming, which I think is going to be a great fit. But it's definitely going to be something that's going to shake out local radio scene.
Yeah, as a guy who's not currently in the market, when I listen to Boston sports, usually when I'm at the gym on podcasts, it's Kirk and Callahan or it's Felger and Maz. I don't really listen to the other guys. Maybe if I'm at the gym on the weekend, I'll turn on the weekend guys, but I'm not going out of my way to seek them out. I go out of my way to listen to Kirk Minihane. I think he was the best radio personality in the city, at least on sports radio, because he was something different. Just put bluntly, he wasn't an ass kisser, and that was refreshing. And now that I hear he's going to radio.com, he's going to have a national podcast. I think he's got to have a weekly column, something like that. It sounds a lot like the Barstool playbook a little bit. So we'll see if that is something that's in the cards, but it seems very Barstool-esque. So it's something that's been done before, and it might sound like a downgrade going from a morning radio show on a terrestrial radio station, but I think I am the rule, not the exception anymore. A lot of people get their media on their phone now. So yeah, I think he's got a dedicated following. I think they will follow him to the internet.
Yeah, the only people who aren't going to hear Kirk are going to be old people that aren't going to be in the demo that they're trying to hunt anyways.
Dick from Andover.
Yeah, the 60-year-old.
Dick from Upton.
The 60-year-old guys living on the Cape, those are not their target demo. I don't think they care too much about them. So I think this is a great move for Kirk, and I know, he'd been very friendly with Barstool with Barstool over the years, and you'd seen him on Barstool Radio. He's called in, and he seemed like he'd be a perfect fit. But obviously, being in the position he's in, being a big-time radio host, I'm sure the guy had ironclad non-compete clauses. So I'm sure once they kind of realized, Kirk had his own issues, and he'd been away for a few weeks. Now, when he started talking about wanting to come back, who knows what happened and why he wouldn't be wanting to return. I know he probably didn't want to go in the direction the show wanted to go in, but I'm pretty sure Entercom probably just said to him, look, you can either tone it down and stop being a fucking psycho and do the more vanilla version of the show that we want to do, or you can sit on your thumb for 3 years. You're not going to go work for Barstool. We're not just going to release you from this contract because you are such a big name.
I consider myself a big sports fan, but I'm like him. I don't really give a shit about the Bruins back check. I don't, when Felger and Maz are talking about the back check, I zone out. I go back to music. So his job as a radio host, talk about sports, but if sports are not interesting that day, if it's the dead of winter or just the dog days of summer, there are other ways to get a listener. And remember, Imus used to be on the Fan in New York, so it's not like you have to have a hardcore sports talk 24 hours a day. You can drift in and out. But yeah, you're right. It seems like Entercom kind of doesn't want to go that way. They might not have the stomach for some of the controversies. And yeah, Kirk has always said when he flames out, it's going to be quick and it's going to be just brutal and explosions. Wasn't quite an explosion, although we'll see on Wednesday or Thursday, I should say, when he's supposed to appear on the show again. But yeah, I'm interested, and hopefully he can be his full unfiltered self.
Yeah, and again, I know you're a big sports talk radio fan like I am. I listen to it, a lot throughout the day, every day. And I feel like I was having this conversation with someone earlier that, I can understand how you wouldn't like someone like Kirk or even someone like Felger or Adam Jones. But I feel like if you listen to enough sports radio and you are interested into it, if you're interested in it, you can kind of pick up on these guys are playing characters and they're playing it up.
Yeah.
And I feel like the people that get the most heated or people that dislike these guys the most are the ones that don't understand that. Like, oh, he's an asshole. He's a misogynist. He's this, he's that. It's like he's playing it up and he's getting a rise out of the morons where the rest of us are kind of just watching and laughing, just kind of enjoying the show.
We're in on the joke.
Exactly. And I feel like Kirk has he dials it up a lot of times, but when he's not playing that character, I feel like the reason why I enjoy him so much, and he's someone who brought me back to EEI. I was I was done with EEI the day one 98.5 launch, and that was primarily just because EEI was, when we were kids growing up, it was the only thing in town. But it was just old guys yelling at each other, screaming over each other about minutia that I didn't really give a shit about. So when there was another
And
option, I
Pitbulls,
jumped
John
out.
Dennis.
Yeah, exactly. So my main point though is why I like Kirk so much is just because he's authentic. He's talking about more than just sports, and I definitely enjoy the in-depth sports talk. But I think there's a time and a place. When I hear Maz trying to break down the Celtics center depth, I know he's talking out of his ass, so I kind of tune out. So that's where I think if it's something that you know a lot about, like again, go back to Maz, you were a Red Sox beat reporter for years. I'm definitely going to listen to you a little bit more when you're talking about the Red Sox than when you're breaking down special teams on the Patriots.
Yeah, WEEI definitely grew stale in the late 2000s. I think there was probably some burnout from the two Red Sox World Series runs. And then when 98.5 hit the scene, Patriots have been the biggest story in town probably the last 10, if not 15 years. Red Sox are probably the top team 03, 04, but really since then, the Patriots have taken over. So they've got the Patriots. The Bruins had their moment with their run to the Cup, and they went back to the Cup in 2013. Now they've got the Celtics. I don't know if Kirk Minihane is single-handedly responsible for bringing WEEI back. The Red Sox did become relevant again in 2013 with their championship run, but Minihane is a big part of the reason why WEEI is relevant again. So it's going to be interesting to see, do people tune EEI out again? Has that format gotten stale again?
Yeah, and that's the thing that'll be interesting to see because I don't know how much you listen to it now, but the show's gonna change to Mutt and Callahan, and they're fine, but I feel like they haven't hit their stride yet. They haven't really kind of found what they want to be. Whereas Kirk and Callahan was definitely a formula that worked. I feel like Mutt and Callahan still kind of looks like a show they're trying to put on rather than just two guys talking. So I mean, it's still new. We'll see what happens, but I'm definitely interested to check out Kirk on Radio.com. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad he's not going to satellite because that's 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever it would be a month. I was going to pay for it, so if he ever does go to satellite, I might finally get that car with the XM upgrade. But for now, thankfully, I'll just be able to find him in the podcast store.